Hey guys, on today's episode we're talking about 5 video games that came out on the Atari 2600 that started genres around today even. I'm Eric.
I'm Nathan.
And we are Notes and Nerds. Alright guys, so we're talking about 5 games that came out on the Atari 2600 or the Atari VCS for all of you real gamers out there. Basically 5 genre starters. So let's start off with the shoot 'em ups category, or shmup category.
Space Invaders.
Space Invaders came out in 1978, released by Taito in Japan and Midway here in the United States. Shortly thereafter, it appeared on the Atari VCS 2600 gaming console, where it was basically the first killer app that sold millions of consoles across the country. Like I said, this title was a shoot 'em up, and it spurred the genre where we've seen games like Raiden, R-Type, and numerous, even Galaga and Galaxian by Namco, which was released a couple years later and on the Atari 2600 as well. So I mean, this is a category that's been going on for years. It's still around, and it started it. Next up is the RPG category.
Adventure.
In this game, you play as a knight,
A box
a knight,
that looks like a box.
a knight,
That looks like a box.
on the Atari 2600. In this game, you walk around looking for various mystically endowed items like a chalice, a sword, and so on and so forth. You venture into other castles, through mazes, facing dragons.
That looks like a grub worm with a pot belly.
Eh.
That looks like a grub worm with a pot belly.
Well, this category really, back in the day, did not have much in the realm of RPGs. And this is the most bare bones of RPGs that you can get. But it was the first in a long line of games like Final Fantasy, Diablo, Dragon Age, the Elder Scrolls series.
Elder Scrolls, everything.
I could go on, but
It's a pretty long list.
yeah. After that is the racing genre.
We have pole position.
Released in 1982 by Namco and licensed by Atari to be put on the Atari VCS console, the 2600. This isn't the first racing game that came out back then, but it is the best example. The arcade games, you had a high and low gear shifter, a gas pedal, a brake pad, and a steering wheel. On the Atari 2600, your joystick up and down was the high and low gears. Left and right was obviously steering left and right. And the game you didn't use the button to go, it automatically went forward. You used the red button as a brake.
It was better advanced than most games of that time.
Yeah. Now the game, the reason why it was so big was that you actually had the pop-up screen when you first boot up the game showed you the track, and when you played the game, it actually stayed with the track. The background, on the horizon, you saw various shapes like mountains and clouds that would move along with it. Activision released a game shortly around that time, also called Enduro, which was actually way better, but pole position's the one everybody remembers.
Yeah.
It spurred so many different games. I mean, there's so many that's been coming.
Need for Speed.
Need for Speed, Gran Turismo, Outrun.
Outrun's a good one. Yeah.
There's just so many titles that's been released, in the racing genre. But pole position, the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
Next up on the list, we have the platformer series of games. That genre is just amazing, but the granddaddy of them all is
Pitfall.
Pitfall was released for the Atari 2600 in 1982. Activision was the first third-party developer for for any gaming console. I mean, Activision's the original bad boy when it comes to third-party games, and they're still around today.
Yeah, Pitfall was like the best platinum-born game.
The platform game, yeah. You had everything. I mean, you had logs, you had pits.
You had alligators, you had swinging brines, and they didn't look like blocks. They were just block-ish, but you could tell what they were.
Yeah, and there was about 256 different screens of adventure to go through. There was even a sequel.
Yeah.
Pitfall 2, Dark Caverns for the Atari 2600. was actually more true to the platform style of games that we're familiar with today, where it wasn't just static screens, and then when you went to the next one, it just popped up the new screen. Everything scrolled wherever you went. So, but I mean, platformers have been around since then, and the number is just outrageously high. I mean,
Some of the big platform games, Super Mario Brother.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh God.
It's again, this is one of those.
It's really hard to just pick.
Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, it's just a long list of games that falls under this category. The Pitfall really is the blame for the start of it.
Yep.
Next up is a personal favorite genre of mine. It's not exactly one of the most popular genres, but it's the space combat shooter games.
We have Star Raiders.
Now again, this is one of those titles. It's not the first in the line, but it is the one that really defined the genre. This game was released in cartridge format in 1979 for the Atari 2600. It was also released for the Atari 5200 and the Atari 8-bit computer systems. This game's enemies looked like pretty much all the bad guys from popular sci-fi films from the day. Like the Xylons had, the name of the monsters or the aliens was Xylons, but they had this one ship that looked kind of like the Cylon Raiders from Battlestar Galactica, TIE Fighters, and even a base star from, again, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
The really cool thing about this game was the fact that it had an extra controller that came packed with the game. That was a 12-button numerical keypad style control pad, which controlled your ship's shields, computers, weapons, map, and your hyperjump. The 5200 had a little bit more in the way of controls that came with the keypad, but when you're sitting there, you're a kid on your Atari, and you actually feel like you're in a spaceship with your control stick and your keypad over here, and your TV showing, just outside the window of your spaceship, and the stars are flying by. It was intense.
Yeah, it's very cool for that.
Games, there are still games that are in that genre coming out all the time. There was a remake of Star Raiders, which wasn't really that great, but there was Wing Commander.
Star Fox.
Star Fox was even one of them. The X-Wing series. The list goes on again with this one. But that's really the big 5 genre kickers that
This made it what it is today, and
yeah.
keeps on spawning the generations of awesome games.
Oh yeah. We do have one honorable mention that didn't quite make our list, but it really should be mentioned.
Yeah.
Haunted House.
Haunted House. Oh,
That belongs to what we would classify as a survival horror game. In this game, it was released in 1982 for the Atari 2600, where you were a lone person stuck in a haunted house trying to avoid ghosts, spiders, bats, all with just a flashlight that didn't work all the time.
Very much like your new computer-style games like Splendor Man or the new Walking Dead series.
Splendor Man, is that kind of like, the alternate to Sugar Man?
No, the Slender Man.
Slender Man. But
Slender is slender, it's all wonderful.
But yeah, this game, it was a survival horror game at its heart, because you were trying to survive from being killed by undead monsters in a haunted house. So yeah, with that, there you go, folks. Now I do want to point out that we have this episode and all our previous episodes on our website right here at notesandnerds.com. You can also follow us again on Google+, Twitter, and Facebook, along with these links down here as well. And don't forget about our Patreon page.
Yeah, where you can give something and get something back.
Basically, with Patreon, it helps us build our what we're giving you guys. Just go in there, help fund us. Basically, you be our backers. You be our venture capitalists, if you will. And like Nathan said, you get something back.
There are rewards.
Exactly. Plus, don't forget about our shop.
Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, all kinds of cool. We got stuffed toys. We got stuff for the kiddies, stuff for the babies, stuff for the mommies, and stuff for the daddies. The nerd in you, for you.
Shop.notesandnerds.com.
Yep, and don't forget to find us on notesandnerds.com.
Yep, mentioned that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. And next
Remember,
week, what are we doing next week?
next week is going to be the top 20 musical artists that define the genre.
It's a lot of people.
Yep. So remember to like, subscribe, share, and kumbaya, my little froggers.